Hi guys, and welcome back to Rich Social Worker. I'm Eva, and I'm making this video because I am in the exact situation that this video is about. I found myself today a little bit stuck, not exactly sure what to do, and still needing to accomplish goals. So on this channel, if you want to learn practical tools and strategies to level up your business and personal life and to elevate your mindset around money, click the subscribe button because we're about to get in it. All right, so I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time because it's late. I should have had this video done hours ago. And I found myself kind of overwhelmed with some other projects that I had to get done. And yet I have this commitment not only to get this video out, but to get some other projects out as well. And so I went through the process that I normally go through, and I thought it would be really good to share it with you. What's actually going on for me, what actually happens in the life of a rich social worker when they have stuff to get done. All right, so the first thing that I absolutely do is I calm everything down. And when I say I calm down, I know for people who maybe suffer from anxiety or panic attacks or things like that, you don't want to hear calm down, but it's absolutely something that I consciously have to do for myself. Now, if you study social work or any of the behavioral sciences, you would likely be familiar with the concept of biopsychosocial spiritual. And that's just to acknowledge the connection between our biology, our psychology, who we are as social beings, and our spiritual selves. And so one of the things that I recognize that it's important for me to manage my biology, my breathing, and that helps me calm down. So I'll deep breath in, exhale out. You might have also seen my video where I talk about how I walk every day, and that's something that I absolutely have to do as well. But in the moment, if I'm not able to walk, I just make sure that I'm giving attention to my body and that I am doing what I need to do physically to bring my mental circuits down, to bring my emotions down, and just calm. Woo-sa. Now, after I have sufficiently calmed down, I check myself. I do like a mental a body scan to see what's going on for me. Is it a headache? Are my shoulders tense? Am I tired? Am I hungry? Yeah, those physiological things. Remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Those are real things. So I check in with myself to see what's going on with me physiologically. And if something is going on with me physiologically, I try to remedy it. I try to address it. The other day, I realized that I was actually PMSing. That was a big contributor. But once I realized that, then it was like, oh, I know how to address this issue. And so I do that physical check-in. And once I'm sure about what it is, or if there's nothing there, then I can move on to my step 3. Now, my step 3 is generally a series of asking myself questions about what needs to happen. What would work for me right now? What is it that I need to do in this moment to alleviate whatever overwhelm I'm feeling or stuckness that I'm feeling? Now, sometimes that means reaching out to a confidant, a friend, an accountability partner. Sometimes it means doing a brain dump of all of the things that maybe are in my space or in my head or things that I need to get done. And so putting it all on a sheet of paper and getting it out of my head, out of my system, out of my energy zone, that can help as well. And sometimes it's really just about, okay, hey, maybe I need to step away from this thing and not focus on it for a while. And that sometimes is really the best thing. I will give myself space. I'm really good at giving myself permission to give myself space to not have to solve problems, especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed and like I have to do it. I'm really good at saying, you know what? No, I don't. If no one's life is in danger, if no one's going to die or, hurt themselves, then I don't actually have to do it right now. So that's another thing that I always recommend people to do as well. So see where you can find space to give yourself permission to remove yourself from the immediacy of whatever you feel stuck about or whatever you feel like you have to do to feel unstuck. So here's the thing. If we're talking about feeling stuck, people feel stuck for many different reasons. And there's different personalities. You have different circumstances that you may be dealing with. So here's the thing. What might work for me across the board may not work for you. So one of the things that I recommend people do, one of the things that I've had to do, is try different things within that period of stuckness. But what you're doing is you're recognizing that this is a time where you are experimenting. Does this thing work over here? Does, going to this aerobics class work and give me more energy? Does going to the doctor and finding out whether or not I'm anemic, does that work? Does joining a mastermind group, does that seem to work and get me going? It really depends on who you are and what your station is in life. But again, if you can give yourself that space to be stuck and look at it as something to be curious about, so that nothing is wrong with you. Because I think when we think something is wrong with us, then that psychology, that perspective just gets us, keeps us stuck or keeps us feeling like, oh, we can't move from this place. But if you can just have the perspective that, hey, I'm learning more about myself. Let me try talking to a friend or talking to a therapist. Let me try changing my diet, or let me try going to bed at an earlier time, or maybe waking up at an earlier time. So if you can look at this situation in life where you are right now as something that you're experimenting with and you're playing with, then, and take away that stigma of something being wrong with you, that can be extremely helpful as well. But one of the things that I love to do and that really gets me unstuck is making progress. And I know that maybe sounds like an oxymoron, because if you're making progress, then you're not stuck. But I'm talking about like washing the dishes, or making my bed, or making a phone call to someone that I've been putting off for a long time, but just kind of clearing away some of those smaller things that I maybe have been meaning to do for a long time. Because what ultimately happens is I actually feel like I'm making progress. And when you're making progress, you're not stuck. You're moving forward. And so I'll do that. And then the thing that's really important to do as well is to celebrate yourself, celebrate your wins, celebrate getting up on time, or when you said you were going to get up, celebrate going on that walk or that run, celebrate sending off that email, celebrate responding to that request, celebrate those small wins, because it means you are not stuck. You are actually moving forward. If you can acknowledge that you're not stuck because you're doing these different things, again, the momentum maybe takes a little while to build. It might be slow, but if you keep up that momentum, you begin to build like that snowball effect. Now, if you haven't ever made a mini action plan, then I might recommend that you do that as well. And that goes along with that brain dump that I was talking about. Once you do that brain dump, you can prioritize the things that need to be done and delegate. I don't know to what extent you know how to delegate or you have people to delegate to, but it's all possible. And if you want me to create a video on this idea of automation and delegation and how to really maximize your time, I'm happy to do that. You can't do everything yourself, especially when you're trying to build an inspiring life that not only supports you, but also inspires others. So delegate to the extent that you can. Sometimes you might even need to think about hiring an assistant or growing a small team. Now, whether or not you think that that's possible for you, try the concept on and think about what would it look like if you did have a team, and how could you possibly get one? Is there a university nearby? Could you possibly get some students to assist? If you've got a business, you may even be able to go on some job sites and post work for people who are looking for experience. So there's all kinds of things that you can do, but you may think about needing to delegate so that you can free up some of that time and mental space and energy for yourself, so that you can focus on the important things that you need. Now, there's several other things that you can do and that I do. I have several tools in my toolbox. One of them is to practice gratitude and celebrate the small wins. So I'm celebrating when, I get a new subscriber, or I'm celebrating when I get a response to an email, or I'm celebrating when I give myself permission to take time off. So I'm celebrating these small wins. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm identifying the one thing. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of that book, The One Thing, but in the book, the question is asked, what is the one thing that by so doing, it makes everything else easy or unnecessary? And so I always try to focus on that one thing. What is the one thing? Maybe that one thing is getting some help. Maybe that one thing is removing a commitment that I said that I can actually no longer fulfill. But what is that one thing that in so doing, it makes everything else easy or unnecessary? Think about that, and you can prioritize from there. Now, another thing that I absolutely do is I have to talk myself down off the ledge and go through my list of what I know for sure's. Now, if you follow Oprah, you would have heard her say this as well. What I know for sure is, and then she gives some phenomenal life lesson. And I've adopted that for myself. So I think about, okay, what do I know for sure? What I know for sure is that this problem right in front of me maybe isn't a crisis. Or what I know for sure is that everything is going to work out. But I keep this list of what I know for sure's handy, and I remind myself of it every time I may start feeling overwhelmed or feeling stuck, like I'm not sure what to do. I might say to myself, everything comes to pass. That's what I know for sure. This is only temporary. This is not forever. That's what I know for sure. So I talk myself down off the ledge with those what I know for sure's, and then I make sure that I always reward myself. I have a play fund. Yes, a play fund. And that's money that I put away every time I get income. And I use it to reward myself with play, with anything fun. So I will sometimes put a goal in front of me and say, okay, as soon as I reach this thing, once I accomplish this task or this goal, if I'm moving forward, if I get unstuck in this space, then I'm going to take myself out for dinner, or I'm going to go out with a friend, or I'm going to buy myself this thing that I've wanted for a while. Okay, guys, so it's really important to reward yourself as well. Again, this is the result of being stuck today, but you see, I did it. I pushed through. Everything is going to be okay. And by virtue of you being here and sticking around this long, I know you are absolutely on the right path. Let me know in the comments if any of these resonated with you, or what you do to get yourself unstuck. Thanks for being here. Make sure you watch my video on how to create a rich social work mentality, and I'll see you next time.